Good evening, everybody. Good to have your company here on a Monday night. It's Terry and Joe. It's the Blue Abroad show. It's a disappointing weekend, but I think by the end of tonight, we'll have a little bit more closure between us. Joe, hello, mate. How you going?
G'day, mate. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's end of season's done, so you can relax from that end. I think I said to you during the week, we can just get angry now. Like, it's fine. Then there's it's fine. We can just let it all out over the next 2 weeks. Look, life's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, it is just footy. We love this club, but fuck, it's disappointing. Fuck, it's so disappointing.
It is disappointing. It is. It's good. We're going to have about an hour or so to just get our minds off what's going on in the real world. Unfortunately, the real world on Saturday was also not a really good world, but I think the show doesn't have as much stress. But we'll see. We might start talking about the game and get just as stressed. So I look forward to it. There's a lot to get through. So I'm going to run this intro, do some thank yous, and we're going to get this show on the road. Welcome, guys.
What's going on? Today?
Martin's been very impressive every single time.
Thanks to all the Carlton supporters, thank you for the love.
Great sense of play in Glasgow. And there's a magic moment. Ball inside 50. Control! Courage. He strikes it beautifully. He goes.
That'll get us up and about.
You know what? It does get the blood pumping just that little bit more, does it not?
It does. It does. Want to thank the members of the YouTube channel here. There are 94 of you now in total, which is phenomenal. Your support is insane. All your names are coming up on the bottom of the screen now. I've got something really cool to show you guys. It's hopefully going to get here at the end of this week, if not next week. Depends what happens with lockdown, but the new Blue Abroad operating system is on its way, and I want to show you guys it, and I'll do a little video about that as well. But your support's crazy. The merch has obviously come out as well. The Sam Walsh t-shirts are going out like hotcakes. Joe was wearing the t-shirt during the game. I had this idea, like, we're going to win, we're going to wear it in the fan cams, and I took it off after the game. I had to get changed.
I don't believe. I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing. No, hey, the merch that you've got going, mate, it's good. So for anyone that hasn't jumped on yet, make sure you check it out.
Have we got? Is there a potential? Can we get some Almost Blues Brothers merch, or what's the situation, mate?
Guys, let me know in the comments if you want some Almost Blues Brothers merch. This is your chance. Otherwise, we'll leave it a bit longer. But no, look, that'll be in the pipeline eventually. But I think we've still got a little bit more growth to go before we get on board the merch train. We're not quite there yet.
I love it, mate. Winning principles, winning standards. You want to learn it. I like it. I'm a big fan.
Good.
We've got a few other members that will be here at the bottom. I also want to address the July competition winner. So while you're seeing the members on the bottom, there's a few more as well. Now, if you remember the July competition, I'm giving away this Guernsey. This was donated by Jordan Gallagher. This is a 150-year anniversary Carlton Football Club Guernsey. Very special. There's not going to be a lot of them around for forever, really. And basically everybody who purchased anything from the store in June and July went into the draw. So I know who won. I'm about to show you guys who won. I've just got to get this little clip up. So stand by for that. Where are we? Okay. Joe, are you ready to see who won? Like,
let's do it.
This is exciting. I don't know.
I don't even know. So it could be me. Like, geez.
I hope they're watching. So I hope the winner is watching. Here it is. I'm going to put a little, what is it? Wheel here. Here we go. Here are the names. You're about to win yourself a 150-year anniversary Carlton Guernsey. Here we go. There it is. Rafe.
There you go.
Rafe Coven. He has been a long time watcher, long time listener. Rafe, if you're in the comments, please put a comment up so I can highlight it. Congratulations. The Guernsey is yours. That's very exciting. If you can send me a message between now and the end of the show with your details, I'll get that Guernsey out to you this week. So congratulations. the next thing, Joe, I guess we should turn to you. Talk to us about what the Almost Blues Brothers are doing and where we're at.
Yeah. I mean, look, let's leave the negatives aside in terms of the review, but it was a big week. A big week, obviously, for the Blues off field with Carlton respects and whatnot. If you are listeners to our show, Almost Blues Brothers, we've been running a bit of a fundraiser over the last couple of weeks for both Carlton respects and Headspace, and that's going to continue to run to the end of the season. But last week was a big week for us. We were able to get a fully signed 2021 Carlton Team Guernsey, which, that's not it, but that will be what it looks like, I'm assuming. So we're running a silent auction for that one. The current highest bid is at $1,400 for that. So amazing. All of those proceeds from the jumper will go towards Carlton respects. And then we've got two other prizes. We've got a very unique Princess Park print that was done by Marcus at Know How Designs. Go check him out on Instagram at NOHW Designs. He's graciously put this together for us as an exclusive for this fundraiser. He's donated this to us. It's going to be framed. And we've also got one that I've got that I've had for a while is a signed Feb poster, certificate of authenticity. Got a couple of scratches on the frame, but that shouldn't bother anyone that wins this one. To win these two prizes or to be in the running, for every $25 that gets donated to our GoFundMe, and you can find the GoFundMe link on our Instagram bio. For every $25 you donate, you'll get an entry into the draw for either of these. So exciting times. We've already raised $1,400 in the GoFundMe as well, and 50-50 towards Carlton Respects and Headspace for that one. So amazing stuff. Didn't think we'd get anywhere near the donations that we're getting to this point. So you guys are amazing. Keep it coming. And we'll draw the winners and we'll let everyone know who won the Guernsey at the end of the season. So in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. So just to recap, so these two prizes, the way you enter is you make a $25 donation at the GoFundMe link on the Instagram bio, these two. And then this one is like a silent auction. Send you a message. Send
the Almost Blues Brothers a message. So just on the Instagram page of your bid. And like I said, the highest bid at the moment is $1,400. So if you think you can beat that, send us a message. And make sure you're following us. That's the other thing as well, so we can reach out to you.
Love it, mate. I lots of thank yous to make tonight, but I want to start with you guys because you've started the journey this year, and I don't know of any podcast that's just seamlessly transitioned, especially in the audio space as well. So you guys are doing a phenomenal job. You get better every week. You've obviously lost Jules. He's gone to Spain. He's followed the love to Spain, and you've rejigged on the fly. It's a testament to you guys. You guys should be very proud.
Appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. It helps when you've known people when you've known these guys for 25 years. It does make it a lot easier to gel a lot quicker. So appreciate everyone that tunes in every week. It's we didn't think we'd get any followers, let alone the 700,000-800,000 listeners we get every week. So thank you very much. There's nothing more I can really say. It's overwhelming at times.
Love it, mate. All right. Well, we might leave the happy times for the end of the show because we have some serious things to talk about, mate, because some shit went down on the weekend and we need to get through it. So let's just start a little light. The injury report came out. We found out that Walsh is okay. That's also good news, obviously. Walsh is going to play. He's fine. I'm guessing it was like an ankle roll or something like that. But obviously, whenever you see a collision like that, you think syndesmosis. What was the other news? I think it was Setterfield's groin has settled down and he'll be back to training.
Yep. Yeah. And Harry, the other big one, is unlikely, more unlikely than likely at this stage for this week. So Coleman could I mean, I know Tex, he's going to miss the rest of the season, but if someone behind that decides to kick a big bag this weekend, it could come down to the wire.
Yep. And the last one was Zach Williams. They are going, his hamstring has settled down and they're going to get him ready for a round 23 matchup against his old side, the Giants. So we'll see Balenciaga one more time. It's exciting. It's very exciting. Next up is the constitutional reform. So for those of you who aren't aware of the developments, this got pushed back. So initially the AGM that was going to be held on the 17th of August, which is where the proposed constitutional amendments were going to be put to a vote, a yes or no vote. That is now being moved. Obviously, COVID. I think they've also moved it. I mean, they've moved it to the end of financial year 2021, which is what, July 2022.
Yeah.
To be fair, there can be no question about whether or not they've given the members enough time to think about it now. I think there was a bit of that in that as well. And I think it's a good thing. I think I did the right thing in the end. And I think there can be no excuses now about whether or not people have had enough time to do their research.
Oh, for sure. And that whatever it was, 2 weeks to begin with, like that was ridiculous by all accounts. You can't give 2 week notice for those sort of changes. Good on the club for pushing it back. That's the right thing to do. Buys them a bit more time in the chair as well.
The tricky part was that they gave exactly 21 days, which technically is what they should be giving as a minimum notice period based on the current rules of the Constitution. So it's interesting. They gave their minimum amount of time, and I mean, obviously, Vince has come out. He made it very clear that we need more time and whatnot. I think we've got that now, and we have until July. And really, part of these changes are about extending the presidential term. Well, it's very interesting because, let's just say we're flying middle of 2022, 8-2. I don't see there being any issue with the presidential term being extended if we're winning. And by the same token, if we're 2-8, well,
I'll touch on this a bit later, mate. I've got a bit of there's a lot to delve into in that space for next year for me. There's all of this intertwines for me, and it's history repeating from what I can see, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Right, we'll butter you up and see what you've got for us. I like it. Let's talk about the game. Round 21. We overtried, Joe. I'm going to get you to talk about your experience in the game. And then in the meantime, what we do every week, everyone in the comments, 3 words to describe whatever that was in round 21.
It was funny. So obviously we were both watching the game. We message each other as we do every week, and got to halftime, and you sent me a message, Terry, and you said, "Oh, if we just clean it up, we'll get them. They're going to crumble." And I wrote back to you and said, "This is exactly what you said at halftime of the North Melbourne game, and look what happened." And mate, it happened again.
I don't have too many people that I can be positive with left, and you're one of the only ones. You brought me out of the rut, so I had to. I was leaning on you to see if you could confirm what I was saying.
I was still confident we'd be able to turn it or to tweak what we needed to tweak at halftime, come out, put on a really good third quarter, and put them away. I thought our first half was okay. Like it wasn't our best footy, but it was okay. The Suns threw everything they had at us at that stage, and they were always going to respond after a 98-point loss. Like what we did to St Kilda the week prior. We responded after a really poor loss. They were always going to do that. We sustained a fair bit of pressure from them, and then I thought, all right, like they'll collapse. They're going to be tired. They're younger. As long as we can keep them at bay for maybe the first 5-10 minutes, we should be good. And as long as we clean up some really poor decision making and really poor execution, from what I saw in the first half, we'll be okay. And then it happened. It was lackluster. There was no fight. There was no intensity. There was, I saw players walking, half jogging, and Suns players just wanting it more at the contest and around the ground. You can't give up 131 marks, of which 123 were uncontested to the opposition, and think that you've got the game in your control. And we've done that way too many times this year, and we did it to a bottom 4 side again. And it's as fucking disappointing as I've ever been in this club. But at the same time, by the time the siren went, I wasn't upset. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. Like, it's the level of effort we've seen across this year. And I know we're going to get into the review and the coaching and Teague and whatnot, but what I saw on the weekend, if the accountability doesn't come on the players for some of the efforts that I saw from that playing group, and not knowing what it means to play for the jumper and to play for that monogram every time you put that jumper on, I just question so many of their integrity as a player for this football club. That's what I'm most disappointed in. That is honestly what I'm most disappointed in is that it just genuinely looks like not enough of them give a shit when they go out there.
Yeah. I'm with you. It was. I said this to you, obviously, and in my review as well. The way I was looking at the game, it was wrong. I looked at it the completely wrong way. I thought we were just withstanding their best, and we'd get them. And the reality was we fired our best early, and they were just holding on. They kicked the ball around. And for those who didn't watch the review, I got to sit in on a pre-match Zoom call with Cameron Bruce, our forwards coach, as part of the Corey Durden sponsorship. It's one of the perks. Great initiative, by the way. On another note, I think we should do a lot more of that with the members, not just the sponsorship, the sponsors. But anyway, he spoke about, we know Gold Coast play man on man. We know Gold Coast are coming off a disappointing loss. The boys are being reminded every day. We know they like to get the uncontested mark game going and kick short and kick around and tire us out. We need to be quick enough to switch on and cut the angles off. And he basically said we've got to work hard enough to stop them from kicking the ball around. And we didn't work hard enough, and it's unprofessional. That's what it was. It was unprofessional and immature.
Yep. Spot on. And it's this. I think you nailed it. It's the maturity of this group. That's where they're at. It's arrogant. It's there's just this smell of arrogance about this club, and we've got no right to be. Like, honestly, we have no right to be arrogant about where we're at. Like, we're just as close to the bottom four now as what we are to the top 8. That's where we're at.
Let that sink in. Oh my God.
No man's land. So if they think that genuinely that's like that, any game that we go into is just winnable by rocking up, and you'll beat Gold Coast and you'll beat North and you'll beat Collingwood. There's another team on the park. They want it as much as you, and if they want it more, then you're fucked. There's no other way to put it. And way too many players on the weekend, especially. If they can't put their hand up and hold themselves accountable, I question whether or not they are up for this and up for wanting to win a flag. Like, this is your job. You have worked your entire life to get to this stage as a footballer, and to see that level of effort week in, week out almost is pathetic. It's pathetic.
Mate, I totally get you. I think, this is a trigger warning for those of you watching at home, and you as well, Joe. But this is what we got from our coach after the game.
In terms of effort, I thought when they got there and the effort from a tackle point of view, from going and win the ball, but I thought as frustration set in, we probably tried over hard rather than just executing our roles.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's good. That's good by you, Tez. Very good.
If you don't laugh, like, what do you do?
It gave me a good laugh when I saw that on Instagram.
I have to laugh about it, because that's my way of compartmentalizing what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Can someone? I'm honestly asking, what does that mean?
I've tried to make sense of it. This is, and full disclosure, I'm obviously a supporter of Teague. I have been, I still will be, right up until the death. Okay. Right. So this, I'll put a disclaimer on that. I've tried to make sense of what he wanted to say. I don't think it came out right. For me, I think what he was trying to say was that we overthought what we were doing, and we were overthinking our decision making, and that led us into really shitty circumstances. But to say that you overtried, like, I can't even defend that. I really can't. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If you're over, who overtried? The Suns. The Suns overtried, and they won. So it's not about overthinking your decision making because you're panicked and you're frustrated. Yeah, okay, I get that, but not overtrying. Like, if you overtried, you would have won the game. And the other one, and I know you haven't shown it, but the one that pissed me off most was about was a comment around that finals were on the players' minds and maybe that was too overwhelming. I'm sorry. If finals are on your mind at this point when you haven't even locked in that spot and you're not fighting tooth and nail to make sure you lock in that spot, and that's not motivation enough, just on top of the weekly desire as a competitive beast to win games of football, if that's not enough, if that makes you crumble, there are some serious issues with the mentality of this playing group. Serious issues. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah. The reason why I brought up the over trying, because it's the second time he's used it. He's brought this new phrase into his press conferences. And is it him crumbling under pressure? Has he got the other thing it could be as well, to be fair to him? Is he protecting the players? Is he just going out there protecting his boys? And that's actually what I would believe he's doing, to be honest, because that's the kind of man he is. I couldn't speak more highly about him as a human being. And, whether or not he's tactically got it or not is another issue. But I can definitely see a reality where he's just looking out for his boys and protecting him. And that's the thing. It's so hard. How do you apportion the blame?
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's one of his better traits as a human being, not as a coach. And I'm going to preface this because we're going to go into Teague in a minute. And I know that there's going to be a bit of a deep dive, but I want to preface this for everyone watching and everyone in the comments. Like, we're talking about a human being here. We're talking about someone's livelihood, talking about, this is his day in, day out. This is his job. Just like you or I, we've got jobs. If you are going to comment, if you are going to point the finger, just be respectful. There is a way to do it. And look, and like I said, as a human being, that is obviously one of his better traits, is that he'll back in his boys, and it's something that, not enough of our coaches in the past 10 years have done for me. And he does it week in, week out, and you can't fault him for that. But yeah, choose your wording a bit better, Teggy, in your next presser.
Yeah, just
what? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I just love it.
That's good. Hey, just quickly, someone in the comments has just said Doc's testicular cancer has returned, and I've just had a look on Instagram, and that is true. So
I did see that.
Thoughts with Doc?
Yes, I did see it as as we were talking. I've seen the post. I haven't had a chance to look at it properly, but if that's the case, that's obviously terrible news for Doc, and obviously our thoughts go out to him. And again, I haven't read it properly. I don't have the context of it in this very moment right now, but I'm going to take everyone's word for it. So yes,
I've just had a look. His testicular cancer has recurred. He's going through chemo, another round of chemo. So, thoughts with Doc. Prayers up. He's gotten through it before. He's gotten through a lot before, and I'm sure he'll get through this one as well.
Absolutely, yeah. That's shocking. That he's a battler. He's a warrior. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt about that. While we were talking about Teague, look, it's easy for us to sit here and say, he said this, it didn't look good. So I found a little grab. Now, Pom sent me this. This was Stephen Gerrard, who coaches Rangers, and they had just lost a game. They've actually just won a title, and they just lost their first game in a very long time. And maybe just something to take from it, just the way in which he talks about the loss.
Give us your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, look, we're disappointed, obviously. It's not the result we came here or the performance we were looking for, so that's on me and that's on us as a group.
Yeah, I really like the directness of the way he speaks, and I think there are just things that Teague has got to get better at. We all do. Every single one of us in our lives has got a lot of things we've got to get better at. I think press conferences they just haven't been great for him this year, and he doesn't seem to be getting better at them as the year's gone on.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's all part of his development as a coach, and there's uncertainty around whether or not he's going to coach next year. But I agree that Stevie Gerrard clip, that's the prime example of how you want to position yourself after a loss. Is you cop it on the chin, you put your hand up as a coach, take accountability, put it as much on the players as what it is on you, share that accountability and move on, and you go through the next week and you make sure you come out and set the standard that you want to set week in, week out. So no, it's spot on. That's actually a really good clip.
Yeah. Just back on the game. So What was one of the storylines for you that came out that hasn't been spoken about yet? I mean, obviously the results terrible. What was on the line was terrible, but what was one of the storylines that you took out from the game that you probably haven't spoken about yet, or maybe you did on the podcast?
Well, Reece actually, it probably hasn't been spoken about or analysed to the extent that Reece went into it around the uncontested possession count and the uncontested marks. Reece looked at our worst losses this year against, I think it was Collingwood North and obviously this Gold Coast one, and we were minus 50 for uncontested possessions across each of those games on average. So we're giving up 50 uncontested possessions to the opposition in each of those losses. And for me, you can talk about it being a storyline from this game, but it's not. It's a storyline across the year. It's our transition, it's our work rate, it's our effort. And for me, all of that comes down to work rate and effort on game day. Go and look at the Saints game and look at the intensity around the ball and across the ground. You know, even though we got beaten in the stats on that day, you could see the intensity and the desire to work harder than the opposition. Wasn't there against Gold Coast. Just wasn't. And speaks volume. Those uncontested possession stats speak volumes on the work rate of this playing group at times, because, you know, like I said before, I'm so disappointed in what that group, on what the output of that group was across the course of that game.
Yeah, I sort of came away from it. I mean, the second half, the more I think about the second half, the more shocked I am, because you kind of look for things early in the game that look good. For me, my bias is I look at Cripps. Always look at how he's going at the start of the game. How is he tackling? Is he tackling with intent? Is he really cracking in? And I thought he did. And then the reason why I'm bringing him up is because my subplot is leadership and high performance. But I really did think we withstood everything early. We defended pretty well. We needed to clean things up. And, Cripps was really leading from the front with his intensity. And then it just dropped off. And I'm alarmed. I'm getting really alarmed at it. What's going on with him? And what's going on with the leadership group on the ground? What's happening?
Yeah, spot on. I actually do have a storyline for you, and it's come through one of these comments here from Brandon Monks Hamilton, and he's asked, how did TDK get smashed by Zach Smith? And for me, I said at the start of the season to Dan on the podcast, he's a massive, massive believer in Tom Conning. So am I for the future. But I said a long time ago that I don't think he's ready to be number one ruck. I don't think his body's ready. I don't think he's mature enough as a ruck to take on some more seasoned and veteran rucks of the comp. If you don't have that sort of ruckman at your disposal, you're probably not going to play finals, or you're not going to put a dent in a finals campaign. And I think we've seen it across the course of this year that TDK, although his around the ground work is unreal and can't be faulted in terms of his ability to win the ground ball and win clearances and whatnot, in the ruck contest, he gets smacked around. He absolutely gets smacked around by bigger bodies. And of course, we saw the week prior with Rowan Marshall, he won 70 hitouts to 9 or whatever it was, and we still won the clearances. That's not going to happen every week. And too many times this year for me, TDK, he's just looked like he's not quite got that grunt as a ruckman and that physical presence at stoppages around the ground, especially to really throw the other ruckman off their balance or off their course. And his ruck craft just needs a little bit more work down to our midfielders as well.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Blody's mentioning it here as well. I mean, I mean, TDK for me is not so different to kind of where Dow's game was, in that they've shown some good things. They're at that point where they're probably going to have a slip up. It's a bit of a shame that they both had their slip up at the in the same game, along with 7 other of them. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's as crucial. I mean, I'm willing and prepared for Tom to lose the battle most weeks this year. My thing for Tom's more just get him through. I think it was looking like 7 or 8 games in a row to prepare him for next year. And then we'll talk a little bit later about adding ruck stocks to the group to help him, because obviously Pettinetti's in there, Casbolt, who knows? Is he hanging around? Maybe we need another ruckman. I don't know if Murkov is the long-term solution, but Yeah. I'll take your point. I'm just not so. I'm just prepared for Tom to have his troughs, even Charlie and maybe Dow as well. And maybe when you think like that and they have it all, they have those sort of troughs, you get a performance like that. But
yeah, look, and I'm with you there. I'm not saying he's a poor player, and I'm not saying that he's not ready to be playing in our best 22. I think he is our best ruckman. Like he genuinely is the best ruck that we've got on our list. And he needs to play, and he will only get better with game experience. But it has been evident at times that he's been towed up at stoppages by some bigger bodies, and not necessarily better ruckmen either.
Yeah. I want to bring up the Harry Mackay situation. People got really mad at this. They talked about why you're playing the Coleman medalist up on the wing. What was your take on that?
I think we needed an option down the line. It was the game plan they were playing. Needed a mark. Whether or not that should have been the game plan, or whether we should have been more patient with our ball movement, I stand for the latter. But that's why he was there. That's why he was pushed up. Look, his field kicking, to be honest, it's pretty good. Like he can hit a target, he can hit a 45. So I understand it. I just don't think that was the way that we needed to play against Gold Coast. Like, yeah, that if you're asking for the reason as to why he was up there, it's because the game plan was to go down the line, get a big mark, go from there. That was what we've seen time and time again. We didn't have anyone else really on the day other than him and TDK. Maybe Charlie, but Charlie still getting used to his body, getting used to throwing his body at contests again and clunking marks. So Harry was the one.
See, I disagree with people that say he played on the wing. He did not play on the wing. He provided an option up the ground for us. And I think people are forgetting that this puzzle with Charlie in it has Harry playing a high half forward. That's how it is. That's how it's going to be. So all of a sudden, people want to talk about club over individuals, but now we've got to play Harry in the goal square so we can get that Coleman and get that individual, medal. I think Teague went straight to, okay, Charlie, you got to get used to playing out of the goal square, out of forward 50. And if you look at some of the passages of play, I mean, Harry and Charlie have this connection. The way Harry kicks to Charlie is very impressive.
It is. No, go.
Yeah, I just think before Charlie got injured, Harry was playing that half forward role. And
he was.
I think that's where it's going to be moving forward.
And it's exciting. I actually don't mind him in that role. And, you want to look at the best two key forwards potentially of the last 20 years in terms of a pairing. You got Jared Ruffhead and Buddy Franklin. Buddy played up the ground. Go back and watch those Hawks games. It's the same role that Harry would play on the weekend. So I've got no issue with it, to be honest. I've more got an issue with the reason as to why it was there, and that was game plan and structure. So yeah, I'm happy to see that for the next 10 years. Harry, kicking inside, like hitting a 45. Nothing better than watching a big man back his foot skills in and genuinely nailing targets in the center of the park. But yeah, that's pretty much nailed it there, Tez.
Of course. Having said that, I still think we got the balance wrong with Harry up there. There should have been more opportunities generated for Harry to have more shots on goal. I think, I wasn't as disgusted as seeing Harry up the ground as what others were, but I really didn't like the fact that we didn't generate enough for him. I think we just got the balance wrong. And is that coaching? Is that player-led? We're asking the same questions again.
Yep, for sure.
Votes. Do you have votes for me? 1, 2, and 3. And you guys in the audience, I'll put yours up on the screen.
Yep.
Your 1, your 2, and your 3, please.
Yeah, I do. So I gave one vote to Ed Curnow. Typical Ed Curnow game. Just work his ass off. The tackle numbers weren't there, but he is playing a little bit of a different role. But I thought he was brilliant in terms of his work rate and his effort. 2 votes I gave to Josh Honey. Got us going early. For a kid that's only played 3 games, he's looking bloody good. And that's something to get excited about as well for me. Like, we've got a player on our hands, and it's something that, we're going to be able to look forward to for the next 10 years is watching Honey at the feet of Charlie and Harry. And, he provides another option for us up forward because he's a really good mark too. He's not just a crumbing forward. He's good overhead. And yeah, he can kick a goal. And 3 votes for me. Best on ground was Nick Newman. He's put together a really solid block since that concussion. a few weeks back. He's Mr. Consistent. And yeah, you know, he's becoming, I've said it a couple of times, but he's becoming that Simo type where wherever he's sort of near the ball, I've got no concerns if he's within 5 meters of that contest. So, yeah, that was my 3-2-1.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. We've got some action in the chat. People are going crazy. I don't know who that is. Definitely need some more mods. I can't manage it all, but anyway.
No, you can't. You're doing well though.
I'm managing it. I'm doing the best that I can. Okay, so I went Jones for 1. I thought he was really good. I went Honey the 2 as well, and I love Newman's game. I really did. I love Newman's game. I thought he had some of those inspirational moments, coupled with some of the mistakes in there as well. But I thought he did a pretty good job, and he's sort of been up and down with his form in patches, but I think overall he did a pretty good job. So that's how I saw his game.
For sure.
Talking about Honey, what do you think about him? That's super exciting for me.
He's unreal. He's unreal. That's these 2 games he's put together, game 2 and game 3. You know, to have we've sort of been crying out for a player like this for a while. That that medium forward hit up type that can crumb. He's good overhead. He's got a good kick. He's got good goal sense. He gets involved in the play, whether he's assisting or whether he's scoring himself. The kid's still got a long way to go too. Like, it's phenomenal the composure that he's got as that general forward after game 3. So, get a big preseason into him, get him playing 22 games next year. Could be anything. Could seriously be anything.
Yeah. I know that the easy thing to say is where's he been? But one thing I think we've got to give some credit to the club for and the development coaches for, like, I'm really pleased to be saying this, is some of the way that these guys have come in this year. They've either like debuted and looked really, good at the level, or they've just looked better than what they did last year. I think Honey's definitely one. He looks so much more comfortable at the level, and obviously Owies as well.
Yeah, and it's a really good point that you bring up, because for too long we gifted kids games and it hurt the development of guys like Dow and O'Brien, and that accountability to actually perform, to hold your spot. I was crying out for our development team to seriously give kids not just 2 or 3 weeks in the 2s to prove themselves, but give them like half a year and show that you can do it for half a year before you're even thought about as getting a spot in your best 22. Push someone out of that spot. Push them out, because you're literally kicking the door in to get into the 22. And Josh Honey was doing it. He was doing it week in, week out. And that's the reason why people were getting so frustrated that he wasn't playing. But this is why it's so important to make these kids earn their games, because once they get there, they're not going to want to go back, because they've toiled long enough there. They've toiled way too long in the 2s to want to lose their senior spot. We saw it with Owies, saw it with Honey, seen it with Dow. Setterfield's the next one for me. And a lot of people have written Setterfield off. One of my cousins, Ben, before, he said, get around setters, Joe. He's player of the future. And he's a big believer in setters, and so am I. And I'm sick to death of hearing that, trade setters, he's past it. Wrong. We saw what Setterfield can do last year. Just give the kid time to develop in his niche and develop his strengths before you give him the best 22 spot. Because it happened way too much under Bolton, where these kids were just gifted games. So he's the next one. Mark my words, he will be back, and he'll be back better than what you saw last year.
Yeah. Look, I'm disappointed in how Setterfield's season's gone, but I'm not jumping off him. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's got all the attributes that we need. I just think he's a human being that's learning how to be a professional, and he, along with many of the others, are going to have their peaks and their troughs. All of them are. I don't know at what age or how many pre-seasons before you start expecting more. That's kind of where I battle with expectations. It's like the general word when you speak to people is you got to give these kids 3 to 4 pre-seasons before you really know.
Yep.
I think Setterfield's kind of there. I think he might need one more to have that 4 pre-season under his belt.
It's actually not, because he had that ACL that he came off when we brought him to the club. So he actually missed pretty much 1.5 pre-seasons. And what is he, 22, 23?
Yeah. So he did all of last year, pre-2020.
Yep.
He definitely did all of pre-2021, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it could be something in that. But yeah, I'm with you. It's someone like a Casbolt. Obviously, it's a different story because he's an experienced body. But a Setterfield, there's no need to rush and just trade him and get rid of him and delist him. Just chill out. Yeah, I'm with you.
I agree, because you know what? If we had a bit in the bullet on someone like Dow, we wouldn't be seeing what Dow's doing now. Like patience. Seriously, we need patience around these kids. It's you do not want to screw up the development of the kids that we've got on our list, because they're genuine talents. Even someone like Kemp, like I'm reading the comments now. Get Kemp in, get Carroll in. No, let them grow. Let them, especially someone like Kemp that's come off the injuries that he's come off. It'd be great to see. I want to see Carroll. I want to see Kemp in the seniors. But if they're not ready, they're not ready. If they've still got things in their game that they need to learn, that they need to develop to become that player, to step into the 22 to have real impact. Kennedy, there's another one. Like, took him so long in the twos, and everyone was like, maybe he's done. I was saying maybe he's done as a footballer, and he came in, and after that massive block of games in the twos this year, which had never really given him to grow some consistency in his game and just in his ability and his confidence, came in and hit the ground running. That's what you want to see. I want to see these kids play 10 to 15 games in the twos and prove out of those 10 to 15 that they're in the top 3 to 5 on the ground every single time.
What do you make of young Lockie O'Brien? I thought he struggled early. He found a way to do something in that fourth quarter, and he, kind of salvaged a game. But I'm really in that school of thought of give him the last 4 weeks. He's had 2 now. Let's just see what he's got. I don't really know what's going to happen with him, though.
He needs the full month. I said it last week. 1 game's not enough. You need to show it in 2, 3, or 4 of these last games. I don't know if he's got his paper stamped. Can't comment on that because we're not inside the club. But he's fighting for his career at the club. He is one of those that is fighting for his career. He's had a bit more time than someone like Setterfield. Hasn't had any injury concerns. It's just purely down to whether or not he's got it. And we saw it last week against the Saints. Can we see it again in the last 2 games? I hope so, because he is a really good kicker of the football. He's got qualities that not many others on our list have, but he's obviously got a lot of areas that he needs to improve in. And then obviously Williamson as well, which I want to get your thoughts on, Tez, because I feel like he's sort of not fighting for his career, but he's really teetering on the edge of whether or not he's in our top 26 or whether he's going to start to fade and next season he'll fall off the cliff.
Yeah, I kind of looked at him this year as someone potentially pushing for that sort of 21st to 25th picked guy in that bracket, whereas now I think he's teetered off to like somewhere between that 26th and 30th man on the list. But still someone you need on the list, still got, potential to grow. He's got an attacking mindset. He makes some poor decisions at times. Is it just experience? Will it click? At least he's got the aggression to start with, because you look at someone like a Lockie O'Brien who doesn't have the aggression to start with that you can nurture and build. Whereas Willow's got that. You can maybe train him to be more experienced and more composed and give him more minutes. Is it a different position? I don't know. I'm not as worried about Willow as what I am like a Lockie O'Brien, if I'm honest. But we'll see what happens. Lockie O looks good when he's running hard, getting the ball on the outside, running and booming on that left boot.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I feel like he panics under pressure. I feel like he's got no composure in traffic, and you're not going to get easy football the way the Saints gave it to us the week before every week.
For sure. Spot on.
That's the thing. I just worry about Willow's ability to Lockie's ability to really get tough and gritty. Not that he has to. That's not his role. He's a wingman, yes, but I just I don't know. He's a specific role player. I just don't think the rest of the team is ready to cover for Lockie's shortcomings, if that makes sense.
Spot on. No, you nailed that. I know exactly what you're saying. Exactly.
Yeah, we got too many other holes everywhere else.
Yeah, so, spot on.
Yeah. I think, what about, I actually really liked Jones and Wiedering's games. I thought they were really good.
They were good. I mean, they were coming up against, Ben King, who Weeders kept goalless, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so especially after playing on his brother the week before, he probably had something to prove in his own mind, and he did a fantastic job. Jonesy was Jonesy. There's a stat that came out during the week that he's only lost one of 101 marking contests one-on-one leading up to that game. So if he's not in all Australian contention, I don't know what you need to do to get there. But all year, pretty much, other than maybe the North Melbourne game, all year those two have been as reliable as it gets as the key pillars down back, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful considering the amount of easy transition and inside 50 entries that we caught that we've got those two down there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Any last thoughts, mate, before we move on?
Nah, not on the game. I'm sick of thinking about that game. I've seen it too many times this year. I could see it. You could seriously see it coming from a mile away if you took your Carlton hat off for 5 minutes at quarter time and half time. The danger signs were there, and it is what it is.
Fair enough. Let's talk a little bit about this external review. Joe, you got some things you want to get off your chest, mate.
Oh, I mean, it's not dissimilar to a lot of what I've said throughout this year, but obviously the pressure cooker's on now. We're hearing that there could be an emergency board meeting, which we've seen before in the lead up to the Bolton sacking and the lead up to the Ratton sacking. You want to talk about Ratton? I'll start there because, and I don't want to offend. I might offend a few people here in the comments and people that are watching. But as fans, we are as entitled and selfish a bunch of fans, I think, that there is across the AFL. We asked for David Teague. We pushed the club for David Teague. We just too many times I've seen this in our history where, for me, it gets to this point where we have a couple of big losses. We don't believe in the game plan. Don't believe in the head coach. And we bring in this Messiah, or we ask for change and this shiny new thing that's going to lead us to the promised land. Came after a Gold Coast loss for Ratton, and he was sacked on the Monday. Is going to come fatigue after a Gold Coast loss? Probably, but this just speaks volumes to what I'm trying to say, is that history at this club has repeated itself too often over the last 20 years. And that is literally history repeating itself right there. Is we sacked Ratton, a former player of the club, after a loss to the Gold Coast in an injury-ravaged year. And we may or may not at this stage do that to Teague this week, who's only, again, not even a year and a half officially into his contract. 18 months. And I know it's end of season 2, but from a time standpoint, that's 18 months that he's had with this group. And for me, you can talk about setting standards from the head coach, and I agree. And I hope, and I seriously hope I'm wrong this time. We're bringing in a head coach with credentials and with a hard edge, and someone that's going to scare the playing group, like Mick Bolthouse. That'll get us there. That's gonna create sustained success, and that's gonna change the culture and the landscape of this club. I hope that I'm wrong this time. I really do, because we did it with Malthouse, and if we do it with Clarko or Ross Lyon, I hope they're the one that can turn around. Guys, I really do. But if you are sitting there saying that you haven't seen this movie before, I don't know what you've been watching for the last 20 years. This is much bigger than another head coach sacking or slight shuffle of the football department. For me, this runs so deep within our club, and the accountability, I'm not saying we have to turn over the list, but the accountability must sit with the playing group, regardless of whoever's in that chair, to want to change the culture from a losing one to a winning one. What standards do you want to set on game day for your teammates? What standards do you want to set when you pull on that jumper? For anyone after the Blues game on Saturday that watched the Boomers win their first ever medal at the Olympic Games and watched the press conferences afterwards with Paddy Mills and Andrew Gaze and the emotion around what that meant for prior generations, and understanding what the history and the legacy of the Boomers were, and the likes of Andrew Gaze's dad and everyone that set that up for these guys to be able to get that medal, that there came from the playing group. That came from Paddy Mills and his cohorts. This year, 4 years ago, they all understood that. They all bought into what the Boomers culture was. For me, it's fine. Sack the coach. Sack whoever you want to sack. But at the end of the day, if no one wants to buy into what that monogram is there on your back wall, Tez, into what that is, whoever pulls that jumper on game day, if you don't want to buy into this, you're not going to change shit, regardless of who's coaching you. You're not going to change anything. Because for me, and from looking from the outside and looking at what this club has become, as fans even, I struggle, just me as a fan, let alone the player, I struggle to identify with this club anymore. I struggle at times. I really do. I don't know what our identity is. I don't know whether or not we give a shit about what our predecessors and the generations prior stood for. I don't know if it's there. And for me, you can bring in another head coach and you can bring in another one after that and you can bring in another one after that. But that changes from your core. And the core is driven by the on-field and it's driven by pulling on the jumper. We don't get to pull on that jumper. I'd love to. I'd love to say I have the talent, which I don't. I'm 5'8" and I'm skinny fat and I was never going to make it as a footballer. But if I could, it would bring me so much joy and pride to pull on that jumper, knowing what it stands for. For me, I don't know if this playing group knows what it stands for. There's a few. There are a few that do, and that's Walsh, and that's Silvani, and that's Weeders. The rest of them, I couldn't tell you whether or not they understand. And that's not going to change with another head coach sacking. Anyone that thinks that if we sack Teague this week, that it changes overnight and we play finals next year, it's not going to happen. Based on history. And based on the knee-jerk reactions that we've made time and time and time and time again.
Love it, Joe. There's a lot to unpack there, bro. So let's start with the beginning of what you said. I think you're wrong in saying that the Teague train was started by the fans. The Teague train was started by Patrick Cripps and the players. They started the Teague train. We saw the players latch on to a caretaker coach, and we believed, hey, they're playing for him. And we just want to change. We won 3 of our last 44 at that point with Bolton, and we just want to change. And maybe the players also just want to change. So Teague was someone, we all got behind. I still am. I was firmly in the Michael Voss camp, but that's irrespective. Also with Ratton, we didn't sack Ratton after a Gold Coast loss. We sacked Ratton because we were all saying he had no plan B. We played in the finals in 2009. And lost 2010, lost 11, we won, and then we lost to West Coast. Unfortunate, still fucking burns me to this day. Andrew Walker was held. I don't care what anyone says. But but we saw an opportunity because Ratton, we believed, was getting outcoached and didn't have a plan B. That's why we sacked him, not because he lost to Gold Coast. Let me play you a few clips that just happen to be sitting here, right? This is when we hired Teague, they went through an extensive search. There was a panel. They went through all the other coaches, and these are a few of the direct quotes. I just happen to have them here.
We could not be happier to have not only a quality coach, but a quality person such as David helping lead our club into an exciting era. Quite simply, he could not be more ready to coach.
So the key one there is he could not be more ready to coach. And then there's this one.
Could come in, hit the ground running, and was perfect for the group where we were at right now. Not someone who could come in and would need time. And the profiling work we've undertaken has confirmed for us that Teague is absolutely perfect for where our groups are.
So the question is, where does accountability start from? Where does it start from? Because we can say football department, but ultimately there are decisions that have been made by the decision makers in the last decade, which with retrospect have been proven to be incorrect.
Yep.
So whether it's Clarko, Rossline, I don't know.
Yep.
The reality is we could have just got it wrong with Teague in 2019. We could have just got it wrong. And the reason why I say that is because it's hard. It's one or the other. Like we chatted about this the other day. I said, Teague, the best of Teague is ahead of him for sure. He can only get better. He can't get worse. My only query about Clarko is, does he really have 7, 8, 9 years with this Carlton group? Ross Lyon, I reckon he's really eager. You know, you're never as hungry as what you are before you win your first one. And that's why I'm drawn to him. But for me, the way I'm reading it, you don't sack Teague unless you're going for like Clarko or Ross. And but just to sort of come back to your point, it's an important one, mate. Who is to blame? Like, where is the accountability? And this is from everyone: fans, players, coaches, administrators, decision makers, everyone. Every single one of us is to blame.
And I actually say on tomorrow's podcast, or on the podcast for this week, I don't think anyone knows where it starts and ends. Like, I don't think we can at this point. Who can actually say where it starts and ends? Where does the accountability sit? I think it's a melting pot of everyone. Like, this is a group thing. And let me clarify: I'm not saying Teague is the man for the job now. I've always been on the Teague train. I'll back him until the day he's sacked. But I'd be stupid to sit here and say that I'm not seeing danger signs with Teague, especially after what happened on the weekend, because there were clear deficiencies in his game plan that just didn't transpire whatsoever. So I can admit that. I can say, we probably have got it wrong. Maybe he's not the man for the job. But all I'm saying is it can't just be Teague. And this has to be wholesale. This is whoever made the decisions over the last 10 years, let alone the last 2, they have to come under the same scrutiny than what the head coach of the last 18 months is coming under right now. Who has taken us, keep this perspective, who's taken us from 2 wins in the year prior to him taking over and 1 win in the previous 12 games before he took over, to a 44% win record in that time. So we've been starved of success. I understand that. We've also been starved of wins. And 44% is the second highest winning record behind Brett Ratton over the last 15 years at our football club. So, give the man some credit. I understand there's deficiencies in his game plan. Everyone has these This is the other thing. Take your Carlton hat off again. Almost every team has had embarrassing losses this year. Embarrassing. I struggle to think of a team that hasn't lost an embarrassing game. I understand the difference is that we've had it time and again, and there's been lapses time and again, and there's clear deficiencies now. But we're not the only ones in this situation week to week. It's how we respond as a group. And for me, you sack Teague, everything else stays the same. It's going to take literally God himself in that chair to be the only one that changes it. If that's the only thing that's going to change, or if that's the major change that comes from all this, God.
No, I don't think it's about bringing in the Messiah.
No. I'm not saying. I'm saying, Tez, that that genuinely cannot be the major change from this. That has to be shared, must be shared for anything to change.
If they sack Teague, do you think the board or board members need to step down? And the reason why I say that is because we are now stock standard. One constant through this whole decade is the same board. That's the one constant.
Yep.
So if it's proven that we do end up sacking Teague and not going ahead with him, the board ultimately appoint him, right? They make the final decision. We need to see, do we need to see some sort of accountability from them?
Put your hand up. It's not hard. Put your hand up and say you got it wrong. Put your hand up and say you fucking got it wrong. That's all I want.
Yeah.
If you let's this is what this whole discussion is about. I want the accountability in public. I want to see it. I want to see, we got the off-field right. Well done, Mark Legiudice. You did a fantastic job. You can't knock him for that. But I want the same people to put their hands up to say they got it fucking wrong. If they got it wrong. And I want a proper process this time. I don't want a knee-jerk reaction. Put Clarko, put Ross Lyon in the same coaching panel process that any other coach should go through for this head job. Because if it's another knee-jerk reaction, I don't give a fuck who comes into the job, we'll get it wrong. We will get it wrong. Because it doesn't matter who is on the market. You need to make sure they are the right fit for your club and where you want to go. I don't care if it's Clarkson. I don't care if it's Lyon. They may not necessarily be the right fit. Go through the proper coaching panel process to decide who is going to be the best fit for this football club. Don't Don't
It's
knee-jerk
not a
react.
given. Yeah.
You can't knee-jerk react and think bringing in Clarko is going to get us to finals. It might not. It genuinely might not with his desire to coach. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, we're not going to see the findings of this review. We're going to see if we're lucky, we're going to see a watered-down version. If we're lucky, we ain't seeing shit. So we all need to be ready for that too.
Yep.
You know, because reputations are on the line, personal names, fair enough. No worries. We won't be seeing shit.
Yep. Agree. It will get some bullshit email. Finding that, there were many findings from the review and the main ones were blah, blah, blah. And that'll be it. It won't be, I'm Luke Sayers and I'll take accountability for the prior board on behalf of the prior.
What could it possibly be that we as a complete supporter base haven't brought up already? What could it possibly be?
We know what the issues are. Fuck, we could have done the external review for these guys. We would have just told them straight to their face on day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. This is what we're saying. If you got it wrong, you got it wrong. Just say you got it wrong so we can move on. Don't sweep it under the rug. Like, I'm over it. Accountability is where it starts and ends. Accountability across the fucking board of this football club. Everyone. Absolutely. You know what? If it was player-driven, Tez, and they got it wrong, then Cripps needs to stand up there and go, got it wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. It's not hard. It's not hard to say that you were wrong. It's really not. And it's appreciated every single time.
It's actually empowering.
Yes.
It's actually empowering when you say, could have done that a bit. It really is, mate.
Yes.
I couldn't tell you how many times I fucked up along this channel's. I couldn't tell you. It's a totally uncharted water. And there've been things like, and I mention them every time, like it's just crucial. It's just part of development. It's like, why are we so afraid to embrace it? What are we afraid of?
Yep, agree.
Like, is it about? I think Patrick here. It would make the club look weak. No, it won't.
No.
It would make their egos individually look weak, but it would make us look accountable. Dare I say it?
Yep. Like, that is spot on. We will come out stronger as soon as there is accountability in the public eye to say we have got this terribly wrong for this club. Terribly.
I spoke to a good friend of mine a few weeks ago, and he made a good point. We, in the history of this football club, we've never done a rebuild like what we did in 2015 onwards kind of thing. Of course, it's not going to be right the first time we do it. But we've got to be able to nip it in the bud quick enough to say, all right, and did we go off the course? Did we? I'm sorry, but some of these contracts are going to hurt us. They're going to hurt us in the future. They are. They just are. They just are.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. If we don't get them right.
This comment's spot on. That's literally in a nutshell what I've been trying to say. Sack him, fine, but everyone else goes with him that appointed him. Simple.
Yeah, don't put it on him. Don't make it like it's David Teague's fault. I'm with you. Your point is 100% bang on, mate. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. Did we sway the course? The one man that came on fan cams, he's been coming on for a while, Jad. He mentioned it like mid last year, and everyone chastised him. He was bang on the money. We steered away from the plan.
Yep. Spot on.
We steered away from the plan.
It's spot on. It's hindsight is 2020, and it is blatantly obvious where we've gone wrong over the last 7 years, and the accountability has to sit with the decision makers at some point. It just does.
Absolutely, 100%. I love it, Joe. I'm fucking fired up, mate.
I can't believe we're going to see Brent Stanton caretaker coach for the last 2 weeks.
I need to see Brent Stanton caretaker coach. I need to see it. Just for me, I need them to have the balls to do it to me. I need to see it.
That would be, if you want comedy capers, if you want to see a circus, that would be the best 2 weeks of football you'll ever see.
Can you? No. Put Russell up as a coach. Put him up. Put him up. Put him up. He gets paid the most for this.
What I'm hoping to bring to the Blues is, really set high standards to the players and the staff, and really work hard on creating elite habits in the players.
Where are the elite habits that I was promised as a member? Where are they?
Yep.
Where are the elite habits? Where are they? It's been a couple of years now.
Yep. I don't know. I've heard we're changing, as part of this review, we're changing our club name from Carlton Blues to the Carlton Coach Killers test as well.
Mate, they're fan killers. Because people are like, oh,
Andrew Russell was the greatest development coach in the history of the AFL before he came to us, and now he's a fraud from what it looks like. Like, I don't understand how this happens at our club. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Find the rot, get rid of it. I don't know what it is.
Oh, fuck.
You know.
Anyway.
We've got a few more quick things to get off before we finish up. Joe, talk to me. Almost Blues Brothers. Is it out? Did you release
it now?
Early?
Yeah, we released it early.
Right.
There's a lot of buzz about the club, especially with this emergency meeting and whatnot. I'm assuming people just want to hear as much about the Carlton Football Club as a supporter as possible. So before you go to bed tonight, it's an hour and 20 minutes, longest episode yet. There's a lot that we cover, and it's just it is genuine therapy for each of us to go through and just basically say it what we've been wanting to say all year. So it's a good one. I listened back to it when I edited it, and for me, this is one that I'm probably most proud of, to be honest.
Love it, mate. I'm happy to hear it. Happy to hear it as well. The Jumper Punch will be out tomorrow at 8 p.m. The Blues Footy Podcast boys will be on the channel Thursday evening. Saturday morning is the morning show. I'm going to guess that our game is on Saturday, Arvo, at this point. I don't know, but irrespective, you know that your favourite Pom will be up doing the watch-along. Pom, we've got to get in touch with Anthony from The Pair. I'll get in touch with him and see if he wants to do a watch-along, because that should be heaps of fun. Any changes for this week, guys? Joe? We know Harry's going to miss.
No, I mean, look, this is what I see happening. Murphy, Betts, and Levi play the last 2 games. Swan song. Nothing to play for now. Like, what's the point? Just give them their games, retire them properly. Show them some respect. We haven't been able to get it done to this point, so throw in the towel. And give these, as much as it's been sad to see Murphy's decline this year, he does deserve a send off. For the years of commitment that he's given to this club through its absolute darkest period in its history.
Yeah.
And Levi as well. Levi copped, he was a whipping boy for a long time. And he showed that he could be a footballer. He put together a 100+ game career, 150 or 100? 150. Yeah. 150+ game career. So, these guys were absolute soldiers for this football club through some really, really dark times. So, I'm all for that at this point. Who gives a shit? Season's done.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, look, I would hope that we don't look too short term in the way that we send Murph off as fans, because yes, okay, it hasn't been great this year. It wasn't his best last year, but the years prior to that, I don't think it can be argued, what he's given to the club. And, I'm sure that as time goes on and we look back, we'll all appreciate what he did. Number 1 draft pick. He was the first number 1 draft pick out of the pagan era, the darkness there. And for a teenager like me, he was what kids are now looking at Walsh and Cripps. He was that player that you latch onto and you want to watch him every week and you want to wear his number. And that's what he was for me and for a lot of people. So I think he does absolutely. I mean, you play 300 games for this football club. He's literally gone onto the battlefield for the football club. And I think he definitely deserves that respect.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can see some comments saying why we're still gifting games and whatnot. Guys, we're not doing this in round 4. Like, get real. The reality is we've been terrible for the majority of the year. If you want effort now, it's way too late. Sorry. I'm not copping that at this point. If anyone deserves to have a bit of a swan song, it's these guys. So I can't cop that. Not at this point in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. The final thing on the agenda is Instagram. We hit 10,000 followers. I never really celebrated the thousands until I got to 10. I was like, I really want to get to 10. You get the swipe up option. It's good fun. But I want to thank everybody there's been so many people that have been involved along the journey. This really all started with a little idea when I was overseas, and I really do mean what I said today. Like, it's genuinely become a family. I've met so many people who I've never physically met in real life, but I feel connected to. It's fascinating. I love the fact that we don't agree. That's what I love. I love the fact that we don't agree, but we've got somewhere to come and hash it out and have us thinking about it. People that have literally given up their time to the channel, Rocco, Mars, Paul and the Jumper Punch, Joe, Dan, Jules, Reese, Almost Blues Brothers, Riley doing Saturday mornings, Shad's given us the studio access. We've got young kids coming through, Ethan, Ari, Helena, Nathan, and Zach, and I've left the best one to last, the Pom. More than anything about his effort that he's given to the channel is more about the person he's become. And I think everyone's had a little bit of that too. Everyone who's come on, because when you come on camera, like, it's the ultimate accountability. You are recognizable, you are identifiable, and it forces you to look at yourself and self-analyze and how do I be better? And I think Pom is he's the perfect example of that. Where he was at the beginning and where he is now, where he's going to be in 5 years from now. That's what it's all about. So thank you very much to everyone. Also, young Willem, who's come on as our video editor. I'm going to end the show with this little tribute.
Yes, before you do, Tez.
Yes.
You've just thanked a lot of people. On behalf of everyone watching, on behalf of everyone that is following you and Blue Abroad. Before I started the podcast, I was a fan of Blue Abroad and what you were doing. I was a fan of you. I reached out, asked if there was an opportunity to help you out with some work. You gave me an opportunity, and I appreciate that from that standpoint. But just speaking as a fan and speaking as anyone in these comments right now and where I was at a couple of years ago with the club and wanting some therapy or whatever it was at the time, above all, I think you need the biggest thank you and the biggest congratulations, and all this goes to you, mate, because you've created something that not many other clubs have, and I can say that genuinely looking across the AFL landscape. You've created a community for people to trust in each other's opinions. You've created a safe space for debate about a football club that we all love, and mate, you should be eternally proud for everything that you've put together here. And we only contribute, I'll speak on behalf of myself and the Almost Blue Brothers and Jumper Punch and whatnot. We contribute a small part of what you've been able to build, mate. So massive thank you to you above all.
Thanks, mate. The work has only begun. We don't get complacent here. Carlton Football Club values. We take a moment, we appreciate, but there's a lot of fucking work to come. And that's the way it's going to be.
That's it.
Thanks for coming on, Joe. I'll play this little clip and we'll get out of here, brother. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
What's up, people? Just a bit of Kool-Aid to start the proceedings tonight. But I was taught by my mum, my family, those who supported Carlton in my circle, of what it meant to play against Collingwood.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Watch Along.
Hey, everybody. How you all doing? Did that really happen?
Win, lose or draw, but every single week you get on and you allow others to have their say, and that shows a commitment and a dedication.
Go the Mighty Blues. Go the Mighty Blues. Go the Mighty Blues.